Hello there, wrestling fans, and just got done watching Wrestlemania 31, so I thought that I would review it and give my thoughts on the matches that took place. They had two matches on the pre-show. The first one was a fatal four-way match with Cesaro and Kid, the champions. They were defending their titles against the Usos, the New Day, and Los Matadors, and you know, pretty much this was just a standard, multi-team match where everybody was getting their spots in and stuff. There was nothing really spectacular. There was one good move in there where they had two wrestlers that were standing on turnbuckles and each had a wrestler on their shoulders, and then those people were suplexing people into the ring. So it was pretty cool to see. It's see a lot of that. Too much anymore. Cesaro and Kid ended up retaining the tag team titles, so hopefully they can get some new opponents, because it seems like they just keep rehashing the same matches over and over. So we'll have to see what happens with that going forward. The next match on the pre-show, they had the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and there was probably 20-25 people in there. Big Show, Kane, Mark Henry, favorites that you would expect to win. And then it came down to the end of being the last three were Damien Mizdow, The Miz, and the Big Show, and basically The Miz was trying to get Damien Mizdow to take care of the Big Show so The Miz could win, but Damien Mizdow finally had had enough of being mistreated, so he threw The Miz out, and then he eventually ended up losing the Battle Royal to the Big Show, who, by the way, had never ever won a Battle Royal, which is hard to believe, but that's what they were. That's the cool idea they were selling. So I don't know. I'll have to research that and find out. The next match, the opening match of the actual WrestleMania 31 pay-per-view, was the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship, and it had Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler, Bad News Barrett, R-Truth, and Stardust, Dean Ambrose, and one other person. I can't think of who it is right now, but pretty much it's just a typical multi-person ladder match. Some good spots. There was a spot in there I really didn't agree that they should be doing it with all the concern over concussions and stuff. There was a spot where Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler were on top of the ladders and they were headbutting each other. It looked like they were doing that pretty hard too. So it's like, I don't know why WWE would be taking those chances with possible concussions with all the new recent knowledge and stuff about that being out there. So Daniel Bryan ended up winning the ladder match and won the Intercontinental title. The next match was Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins, and it just it was just a good back and forth match. Couldn't really tell who they were going to have win, and then at the end Seth Rollins was going to go for a curb stomp, and then Randy Orton did a RKO out of nowhere for the win, which in that match ending kind of set up the stage for what was to happen later on, but we'll get to that in a second. The next match, which never thought that I would see my all-time favorite wrestler, Sting, and he was in him being in a WWE ring, and I just never like thought that it was going to happen. And he was fighting Triple H, and when the match, when they announced the start of the match, they said that it was only um, you can only win by pinfall or submission. So I knew at that point that you know something's up, so something was going to happen. So, and then during the match, back and forth and stuff, and um, Sting was about to win the match, and then Degeneration X came down and um, started beating him up and stuff, and then he and Sting recovered and fought him all off, and then the NWO came down and they were fighting off DX, so that way the battle would stay even. And then shortly after that, Shawn Michaels came down and super kicked Sting, and with that, I was just waiting for someone else. I was waiting for Flair or Goldberg to come down, like, even up the sides, but that never happened, and it ended up being that Triple H ended up getting a win over Sting, which I don't really understand why that happened, because Sting, if you're gonna come, like, why are you gonna agree to lose? But you know excuse me, it is what it is. So that match, Triple H ended up winning. I didn't really like the outcome of that match, but excuse me, I'm sorry. They had a backstage segment with Daniel Bryan was talking to Maria Menounos, and then Pat Patterson and Roddy Piper and Steamboat, Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair and Bret Hart, and they all were just doing their different interviews and stuff, and then Ron Simmons came out and did his damn thing. So there wasn't really nothing all that great. Just another typical backstage segment. The next match that they had was the Bella Twins versus AJ and Paige, and I was really expecting the Bellas to win, because I don't know, it just seemed like I've been hearing things about them leaving, but AJ and Paige ended up getting the victory after AJ made Nikki Bella tap out with the Black Widow. It was just their standard Divas tag team match. There wasn't really any Divas matches that are never good. They're just there to for bathroom break. So it was okay. I don't know, not great, not memorable. They brought out the class of the 2015 Hall of Fame, and some of the members are Randy Savage, Kevin Nash, the Wonder Blaze, Larry Zbyszko, the Bushwhackers, and a couple of others. So that was just they always do that every year during WrestleMania to show the Hall of Fame members on the WrestleMania ramp stage there. The match after that had John Cena versus Rusev for the U.S. title, and the way that they have built this matchup, it was obvious that John Cena was going to win the U.S. title, and they went back and forth with their match and stuff, and John Cena ended up getting the win. And he ended up winning the U.S. title, which was really no big surprise. It was just predictable. It was, that's all I can really say about it. There wasn't nothing spectacular. Then Stephanie McMahon and Triple H were out, and they were announcing that they broke the attendance record for the stadium they were in at 76,976, and they were talking about how they owned everything, and they own the people and stuff. And so when they said they own the people, that brought out The Rock, who made, it wasn't really a surprise, because it was they were talking about he was in the area, so brought out The Rock, and they were obviously they were dragging the segment on and on. They were trying to just um, kill time, and uh, then I brought up. Then Stephanie told The Rock to get out of the ring and stuff, and then she slapped him, and then he left, and then he was standing there, and one of the UFC Women's Champions, Ronda Rousey, was sitting ringside, and so he brought her into the ring, and um, they just kept talking and just had a segment that just kept dragging on and on. You could tell that they were just killing time. It was a good segment. It took too long to get through. Yeah, so I don't know if anything is going to happen from that. I don't think so. I think it was just a one-time thing, just to get people to show up for a WrestleMania moment. The next match was Bray Wyatt versus The Undertaker, and it, it was obvious, that The Undertaker was going to win after last year's match. I can tell you that this match, to me, it was not very physical at all. They did most of their finishing moves and stuff, but you could tell that they were taking it easy, and because the match really didn't last as long as the Undertaker matches at WrestleMania, and it wasn't really too physical. So, but the Undertaker won, when just a typical Undertaker match, except for he did the old school thing where he walks on the ropes for a little bit. That was pretty cool. I was it was pushing 50, so it was good to see that. He looked better than he did last year. So Undertaker beat Bray Wyatt, and then in the main event for the World Heavyweight Championship, it had Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, and for me, it looked like it was just going to be kind of almost like a rematch of a replay of the Brock Lesnar or John Cena match, where Brock Lesnar just totally tore him apart, and there was Lesnar suplexed him 10 times and then gave him 3 F5s, and Roman Reigns did the super punch 3 times. He gave him 2 spears, and it was kept going back and forth, and then the match was just about over, and then Seth Rollins comes out and he cashes in his money. He decides he's going to cash it in his briefcase for Money in the Bank, and then they announce that they're going to make a triple threat match, and then so Seth Rollins knocks Roman Reigns out of the ring, and then he goes to curb stomp Brock Lesnar, and then I can't exactly remember what happened, but anyways, the end of the match is Seth Rollins pinned Roman Reigns to become the WWE champion. So Brock Lesnar lost the title, but he wasn't pinned, so he didn't actually get beat himself. So we'll have to see what they're going to do with that at the next pay-per-view, which is Extreme Rules in 4 weeks. All in all, I would have to give the event an 8 out of 10, because honestly, just up until I don't even know when it was, I was not looking forward to the event at all. It just wasn't really interesting to me. So, but it ended up being better than I thought. So, yeah, that's gonna do it for my recap of WrestleMania 31. Thanks for watching.